fairness, can you hear me crunching on popcorn?
Can I hear you right now eating popcorn? Yeah, I hear that great. And
it just adds to the whole movie thing.
Yeah, and why are we eating popcorn?
Are we recording?
Yeah, so you have to talk to the mic.
I'm eating popcorn because we're gonna talk about movies.
Yay! Welcome to the podcast you're listening to right now, which is, what's it called, Liberty?
Eat, drink, and be scary.
And what is it about? What's the podcast about?
Eating, drinking, and being scary. Scary things.
Well, scary
or things that are maybe paranormal or alternative.
Ooh, that's very good.
Like aliens.
I like that. That's a good description.
Thanks.
And what are we eating and drinking today, Tanya?
Well, we're eating popcorn because we're talking about movies.
Good.
And I don't know what kind of movies we're talking about. Bill kind of surprised us a little bit. I mean, obviously, scary movies, horror movies. But, yeah, so obviously popcorn is the choice for movies. But what are you drinking over there?
Well, I'm drinking two things. The first thing I'm drinking is iced tea, just because we really overdid it yesterday. When we were rafting, it was the second last day to go rafting down the river. And we drank a ton of White Claws and then drank a lot of beer. And yeah, it was I'm really still dehydrated. But the other thing I'm drinking is this really cool whiskey that I found. It's actually a regional one. And it's called Ghost Owl.
Ooh.
I should probably
Ghost
find out more
what?
about it. Ghost Owl.
Owl. Ooh. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Owl. Howl. Ghost Owl.
Ghost Owl.
And I do want to bring up one thing real quick. People were talking about ghost animals. Like that animals can be ghosts.
Oh.
I don't know, I just started thinking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Because dogs. They'll say that a lot of people will say a dog or a cat haunts my house. You guys ever heard a story about like that?
Yeah, my cousins claimed that their dog not in a bad way haunted, but like the dog would come back, to say hi as a presence.
Oh, did they see?
I think it was only ever hearing, like, I don't know if it was whimpering or scratching at the door or something.
Ghost pooping?
Ghost pooping.
Who ghost pooped in the house?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Anyway, yeah, I've heard of that.
So, I bring this up because there's the reference to demonic dogs, because they always say like, oh, I heard a dog and it was barking. But dogs bark. Like, can you imagine if you're a ghost dog, how confused you'd be? You'd bark at everything. I don't know.
True. Are dogs like cats? That's a weird way to start a sentence. But I've read that cats do not meow to other cats. Cats meow to humans.
I've read that as well.
Yeah.
That's how they communicate with us. That's not how they communicate with
each other. So are dogs that way? No, dogs definitely bark at each other.
Yeah.
Well, the same way you would think, like a meow and a bark are two different things. A bark generally is trying to get, like, I don't know, I'm not a dog doctor. but I think, like, when a dog barks, like, generally it's like, get away from me. Like, arf.
Yeah.
Even if you're eating something and you're not giving it to them, they'll do like a little bark.
Yeah.
But cats don't sit there and see another person walking down the street and go, meow, 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 meow. They hiss. So you would say a hiss and a bark would be the same. Cats will hiss at other cats.
Yeah.
And they sometimes howl. They do like siren-y
How'd that way?
to each other.
I like the hand.
I know you can't see it, but I'm doing
really
like weird draggy claws.
You know how you just left like the nail salon. You got like 6-inch nails. Like,
and they're wet still.
Yeah.
Don't touch me. Anyway, ghost animals.
So that reminded me one thing. I'm sure you'll segue that into a movie, but one of the things that we talked about very early on in the podcast is why you don't see dinosaur ghosts.
Why don't you see dinosaur ghosts?
We read that they don't know to present themselves to us because we didn't exist then.
Oh.
So typically, from what we've understood, is that ghosts show themselves because they want to be seen or heard or something.
Recognized. Mm-hmm.
Dinosaurs don't know what we are, so we can't see them.
What about, though, animals that were during like the Neanderthal time or Neanderthal?
We don't
however you say it.
Do we see them?
Why don't we see like woolly mammoth ghosts?
Maybe because they didn't have that same type of communication or relationship. Like if language wasn't really developed.
Because we killed them. They're like, Hey, I'm a ghost because you killed me.
And they're like, over it. I don't need to come back.
Yeah. Ew, what, are you going to kill me again?
That is fascinating. I'm going to do more research and listen to that episode. Sorry, I haven't yet.
Well, it's available at iTunes and Spotify.
Wherever you find your podcasts.
Wherever you find your local podcasts. It's $3.95 for the first minute, $1.95 for each additional minute. You must be 18 years or older to call. Operators are standing by. All right, with that, it's really good whiskey, by the way. I really like it. How's your popcorn?
It's buttery.
You should put that truffle salt on it.
Oh, I should have.
Yeah, it's really good. All right. And you guys are drinking White Claws. And, of course, the reason that Liberty brought over White Claws is we were going to talk about the Leeds Devil, which then Ryan and Tom, who again are not with us this week, due to they're just really, really busy in life. Ryan almost peed his pants when I told him we were going to do Leeds Devil without him. The Jersey Devil, he freaked out like a little bitch.
Because he loves it?
Nah, he's done he's done a bunch of research on it. And we, been really great just for us is just to do a really terrible episode on it. Like just the worst episode we've ever had, which is actually could still be the worst episode we've ever had. We don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
Because you don't even know what we're going to talk about.
True. Maybe we should tell him.
Oh, yeah, let's get on with it. Anyway, it would be really funny if we did a really terrible episode, and then he just had to listen to it. It was just really for him. And he's listening to it. He's like, oh, we just had all this misinformation.
Like, made it all wrong.
Just made it, yeah. The Leeds Devil, it's because he's a leader of the Devils. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's a Jersey Devil because he haunts Jersey Mikes. Jersey Mikes.
All sports jerseys.
Yeah, he wears a jersey. Yeah, man, that jersey.
I hope people are still listening.
For anyone who's still listening. By the way, it's really funny because there's the same. I always walk by that Buffalo Wild Wings. I never go to it, but it's always the same guys going into it with their hats on backwards, wearing their favorite jersey to whatever. Like that's required. I think you have to wear that.
Probably to get in.
There. I don't know. I honestly would rather hold my mom's hand and stared lovingly into her eyes as she sat on the toilet taking a dump than ever go into a Buffalo Wild Wings.
I hope no one from Buffalo Wild Wings is listening.
I hope they do. The place is terrible. It's stupid. It's like the worst thing ever. All right, and with that, let's talk about today's subject, horror movies. We're going to talk about horror movies, and the very first thing I want to just go on, and this I know it's going to be hard for Tanya, because she's hardly seen. What's your favorite horror movie? Let's go with you, Liberty. What is it?
Oh, geez. Okay, well, I do have one thing. When I was a kid, I remember seeing a horror movie called, I think it was called The Lady in White, and it was the scariest movie I had ever seen. I mean, it stayed with me for years and years and years. There's this part where I think a ghost sings like, have you ever seen a girl walking? Anyway, super creepy. And then years and years later, as, I don't know, a teenager or 20-something, I watched it again, and it's the most ridiculous, silly, not believable, not scary movie in the world. So I don't know what it was about, I don't know, that time in my life or that movie or whatever, but there's that story. So if you're interested, go watch Lady in White or don't.
I've seen Lady in Black, which I really liked.
Yeah, that's different, but still a thing.
That's a really good movie. The second one I think I did watch. I can't remember. I watched it or not. But anyway,
I tend to like scary horror movies that imply the scare. I don't want to see CGI or like real sort of personifications of whatever the scary thing is. I want implied, like Blair Witchy type stuff, where you get to decide what it is that's doing those things, and you can visualize what you think it looks like.
That's one of the reasons why Jaws works so well. It's because you barely saw the shark. Of course, that wasn't how it was written. But Willow Creek is a really good one if you want to not see what it is. It's people camping and they see Bigfoot.
Oh yeah,
but they don't see Bigfoot. It's it's actually Bobcat Goldthwait.
What?
Yeah.
Goldthwait? That guy. He drank tab a lot.
Yeah. He's the one that directed it.
Whoa.
And it's really, really good. It's cool. There's this one scene where they're in the tent and they just hear things going on. The camera, it's one shot. It's a oneer. And it's just this one shot of them in there. And it's really scary because you don't know what's going on.
That is what I love.
You know,
that's what scares me.
Yeah, those. I've watched every horror movie probably on the planet. That's not true. I still find really, really bad ones occasionally, and I watch them because I love them. Like we just watched The Prophecy, which is a weird name.
Yeah.
But it was not the one with Christopher Walken. It was
from the 70s?
Someone with Talia Shire.
Interesting.
And it was, the 70s, and it was about a bear. It was Man Bear Pig. Man Bear Pig. Yeah.
So if you're a fan of South Park at all, they have some episodes on there that talk about Man Bear Pig. And we looked it up, and they actually got the idea for that from the movie The Prophecy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a really bad movie. But it's about, basically they were putting mercury in the water in a lumber yard. They were putting mercury in the water, and it made these mutant bears. And the bears were angry, but then, the bear's just killing everybody. And then they killed the bear. I just spoiled it.
Dang it.
Sorry, don't listen to that part. Anyway, then it ends, you think they're going home, and then another Man Bear Pig pops up. But he was almost old bone face. What was holding his eye? I don't know.
This movie is called Man Bear Pig?
No.
Or this is The Prophecy.
Well, it's funny because we're watching the movie, and
wow.
And Tanya made a reference. She said Man Bear Pig. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's funny because Man Bear Pig. And then
you made the reference.
Oh,
you made the reference. I looked it up.
Oh, yeah, she looked it up. I think we just started calling it Man Bear Pig, and then she looked up. She goes, "Oh my God, that's where Man Bear Pig came from." It's terrible. The thing, the guy that made the film, I can't remember the director's name. He's done some quality films. He did a bunch of stuff. They considered him the last old school director, and he directed some films that you were familiar with. And they directed this thing, and it's shot kind of well, but 54 minutes into this, you still don't see the Man Bear Pig.
Oh.
Finally, you see it, and it looks terrible.
And they have a weird fascination with dangling dogs.
Dangling? How?
Yeah, so one part, there's these two hound dogs, because they send out a search party to look for these missing people. And one of the dogs just jumps off a cliff, but they have it on a leash still, so it's just a dog just dangling from its harness there. And then for some reason there's another scene of them airlifting, dropping off a dog from a helicopter, so the dog is just
a live dog.
Yes, it's just hanging from a giant cable underneath the helicopter.
So they rescued the dog.
Yeah.
And you would think it made sense if they rescued the dog and they couldn't get into an area and the dog had to hook himself up to it. The dog is clearly strapped in well.
Wait, the dog had to hook himself up?
Well, that's what you would think if it was a human. He's the bottom of this thing. We can't get you.
Right. But how else would the dog get into the harness?
Someone's like, I'm allergic to dogs. Can you just dangle it 50 feet below the helicopter? That'd be great. I have an allergy. That's what it was. It's they saved this
weird.
dog.
And it's just 2 minutes of them at the airport, and this helicopter's just flying around with the dog hanging from it. It was really weird. It was weird. I don't know why those were such big parts of dangling dogs.
I need to watch this, clearly.
It's terrible. But I don't know. Yeah, no, it's terrible. I should say it's really, really bad. It's all a message. Basically, these Native Americans are like, get off our land, you're destroying it. And then we're like, no, whatever. And then we made Man Bear Pig. And the very end, it's like, capitalist, stupid lumberyard. You ruined our nature. They do make a lot of references in there about, white men going through and destroying things. So, all right. So with that, what's your favorite scary movie, Tanya?
I don't remember what it was called. I think it might have been Nicole Kidman. And it was just
The Others.
This. I think so.
Oh yeah.
Where was that's a great movie.
Yeah. The Others. That was. I don't know if it's a horror movie, but
it's a horror movie. It's ghosts. Yeah.
Aren't the kids ghosts or some kind of?
All of them.
Sorry, we just ruined another movie.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it.
By the way, the rest of this podcast, there will be plenty of spoilers.
Yes.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, where they think they're being haunted.
Yeah. Yes. The one part.
That's a good one.
The one part that really got me is when the little girl, her daughter, is under the blanket, or little lacy thing lifts it up, and it's the old woman.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't remember what the line is. It scared me.
Yeah.
It was really scary.
That's
and
probably
my
favorite.
They were ghosts the whole time.
They were the ones haunting.
Ooh, yeah. It's really
so wait, can we talk about what makes it a horror movie? Like, is Sixth Sense a horror movie?
Well,
or
it's going to be, if you look up, there's a fine line, I think, between what's considered a thriller. Tanya's looking something up right now, so I know she's going to come back with a definition. Yes. There's a fine definition when people will say, like, it's a thriller. Sometimes people say horror thriller, suspense, horror thriller, whatever. They'll put it together. I remember a long time ago somebody was saying they were trying to make a film, and they said, it's not a horror movie unless there's blood. And I go, well, that's not true. They said that's the genre people want to see. That they call them that, like the slashers. I said, okay, so you're just thinking of a slasher horror film.
Yeah.
Like I loved all of Friday the 13th because they were stupid, and you watch people like that's where those jokes come through. Like, well, there's a sound outside. There's a gun. I'll leave that here. I'll just take the flashlight and walk
right
out.
And go upstairs instead of out the door.
Exactly. I heard a sound, and I'm in this cabin all by myself. I better investigate.
So
smart.
Yeah.
So this is filmschoolrejects.com, and they say our definition of horror comes down to movies that want to scare, unsettle, or disturb, and that leaves intentional room for films that could also be described as thrillers, comedies, or sci-fi. The only restriction to consider is that they have been... Oh, that's not...
I like that, though, that the intention of the movie is to scare or disturb. Mm-hmm. Which to me, like, then Sixth Sense isn't a horror.
But it is...
I don't think the intention is to scare or disturb people, right?
But it's a little unsettling.
It is, but that's not the intention of the movie, right?
So somebody was talking about Ghostbusters. Like, Ghostbusters should be a scary movie because it actually can scare you. You know, he just jumps out. But that's not their intention.
But that's not the intention
to scare you.
Yeah, interesting.
So that does make sense. You know, there's certain movies like Dress to Kill. I don't know if you've seen that film before. It's really good. And it's kind of scary, but it's not a horror film. But I remember at the time, people were also like, this thing's borderline a porn. I think it came out in like 1980. I don't know when it is, but it's Anthony Perkins and Michael Caine is in it. And it's really good. You should watch it. Michael Caine plays a transvestite. Murderer. I just spoiled it again.
God damn it.
She was just 16 years old. All right. You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. That's my really bad Michael Caine impression. All right, back to this, though. So, The Others, that's a really good one.
Yeah.
Mine, I think, will always be The Shining, which you made reference to the picture of my bathroom.
I did, yeah. There's a picture of kind of an out-of-focus Jack Nicholson, kind of in the foreground of the photo, and then in the background you can see Kubrick, or do you say Kubrick?
Kubrick.
That sounds like a combination.
Kubrick.
That guy. Stanley Kubrick. And Shelley Long, kind of in the background. I think he has his arm around her. Anyway.
No, it's not her. It's somebody else.
Oh, it's not?
No. He doesn't have his arm around her. It's just another brunette. It's just somebody on set. But the cool thing about that is he got Jack Nicholson to pose.
It's almost like a selfie.
He was getting his picture.
It's because he's taking a picture of them in a mirror.
Oh.
So he pretends. So Jack Nicholson thinks a picture is being taken of him, and the reality is, he's taking a picture of himself. It's a great picture. The whole time he thinks Jack Nicholson's posing, and he's not.
And you can't quite make out his features. He's a little kind of blurry because he's so close to the mirror or the camera or whatever.
I love that picture.
Anyway, it's a great photo.
I think The Shining will always be...
Yeah.
And it's still one of my favorite horror books, which is the book has nothing to do with the movie.
Yeah. That happens a lot. Why is it one of your favorites?
It's a fun little... diverse little... I mean, there's so many little things that can scare you in there.
I've never seen it, so they don't...
Okay, so I can't...
spoil it for me.
Yeah, fuck the audience, and I'll spoil all these other things, but for Tanya's right here, and I won't spoil it. And we are going to watch it. We just actually watched it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the new one?
Because this Friday comes out.
Yeah.
The
second...
It 2.
20 years
Electric
later?
Boogaloo.
Or
yeah, 27. 27.
Is it 2 Big Bug Boogaloo?
Electric Boogaloo.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to think of.
Big butt Boogaloo.
What you know? I was just trying to get some syllables and then end up with Boogaloo.
Yeah.
Not a word doctor.
Back in action. I don't know. Was that one of the Police Academy ones?
Probably. Or Lethal Weapon, or any of those. So what to you makes a movie scary?
Well, I can't talk about The Shining. I'll tell you one that really got me as a childhood is Poltergeist. Mm-hmm. Poltergeist, the original. Even though I like Sam Rockwell and I really wanted to like the second one, I was like, meh. But the original Poltergeist scared the crap out of me. There's certain movies that scared me, but it didn't leave a psychological effect. I remember watching all the Friday the 13th. Mm-hmm. I watched all the slasher films that were
Texas Chainsaw
Hell
Massacre.
Night and all these things like Sleepaway Camp. Like you watch these things.
Oh my god, those were so good.
But we had a Halloween party last year and we just showed all 3 Sleepaway Camps. Oh my god! And people towards the end were just sitting there and watching them, like laughing, making jokes.
It started off as just something that we had on in the background,
right?
And then by towards the end of the night, everyone single person was just sitting watching.
I love that.
It was so much fun.
See, the thing about Poltergeist to me is goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's more implied. You don't necessarily see some sort of creature or ghost in a sheet. Going back to the last podcast, you just see things happening, but you don't see the force behind it. Like you see the chair move across the room, or the kid trapped in the TV with the creepy That's not how it sounds.
Wait, you talking about Poltergeist?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just just the kid. You're like, "Mommy!" Just like screaming.
Yeah, I don't
There's
know.
a man in here.
But she sounds like she's talking through,
Yeah, it's like that. I see what you're trying to do. Now I try to do it.
Sorry, I'm not good at sound effects.
On your turn. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So, but the funny fly just landed on the microphone, and it was so loud in my ear. That was really awesome. It just landed on the microphone. But things like Sixth Sense, when you find you've seen Sixth Sense, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So when you find out he's been dead the whole time, and then you go back and you go, oh.
There were so many.
And there's a scene with the typewriter with when Shelley Long, right? Shelley
in Sixth Sense?
No. In
oh, you're going back to Shining.
Shining, yeah.
Yeah.
Shelley.
I thought it was Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall. There we go.
Shelley Long. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you're a very
cheers.
different person.
Yeah. Where everybody doesn't know your name apparently because we forgot. But that part with the typewriter, when she goes to the typewriter and you go, oh, like you start thinking back, like, oh, that's the kind of stuff I love, that it's deeply written and it's one of those.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, there's certain things that I like when they thought really hard, and then after when you see something, you go, oh. Well,
and I get really mad if either at the end there were no clues like that. It doesn't even mean I have to get them along the way, but when I find out what the end is, I have to be able to go back in my mind and find the little hints that they gave us or the way the story is connected, and it really makes me angry when it just doesn't make sense. Or like the killer is someone you saw for 2 seconds and then they never referenced again. You know what I mean? The Bone Collector, I'm sorry, was one of those. That it was like the serial killer dude was someone that they mentioned for 2 seconds at the very beginning of the film, and then throughout the whole rest of it, is never ever referenced.
I had a little bit of a problem with that with the movie Seven.
Really?
Now, I do like the movie.
Yeah.
But why was he just doing this his whole life? What was his reasoning for being... I mean, obviously we know Kevin Spacey's creepy anyway, but the character he plays...
What is any serial killer's reason for doing it? The Zodiac, what was his reason?
We don't know. We don't know who the Zodiac killer is. Although we do know. Ryan has a thought on that.
We have a hypothesis.
But okay, so now we're going to segue into a little bit what we want to talk about, because one of the movies I want to bring up...
Yeah.
These are films that are not only... They're kind of popular films, but they're based on real life stories.
Ah, good. Okay.
And so I want to talk about one real quick, which is Nightmare on Elm Street, which is, again, it's a slasher film, but they're super scary.
That's based on a real story?
Well, it is based on a real story, and I'll tell you why. And I'm going to, hold on, I'm going to pull
That's Freddy Krueger, right?
Freddy Krueger, and they did do, one of the things I did like about what they did with that whole thing, he was a bad guy in real life, and then everybody found him, like that he was a pedophile, right? Well, he was a school janitor.
I didn't even know that it was a real...
Well, no. So this isn't the real story. I'm saying the movie itself. Freddy Krueger was a guy who I think he killed like a little kid, and he was a janitor. And people are going to tell me I'm wrong on this, so that's fine. But it's been forever since I've seen it. Yeah. He was a bad guy. They chased him to a school in the by the furnace, and they burned him alive. And then years later, they come back and they say, like, I'm Freddy Krueger, and I'm going to get you in your sleep. I don't know why sleep was the thing. But I will tell you this. It's based on a true story. In the 70s and the 80s, there was a boy. There's a documented case, and then later on I'll tell you that they found out the reason for it. This teenage kid refused to sleep because he was having horrible, horrible dreams. Would try and stay up for days at a time. And, of course, that can just basically kill you and make you mad.
Because he was afraid to sleep.
He's like, guys, Mom, Dad, I'm having horrible nightmares. I don't want to sleep. And he would wake up screaming and yelling and screaming and yelling. His family came here, escaped the killing fields, came here. They were Hmongs. They came here, and they were living in the U.S. And one night they heard him screaming like he normally would do, and they went in his room and he died. He was dead. He died in his sleep.
Like almost like a panic attack-y kind of...
Well, so...
Like, how did he die? Because he was just so, like,
well, they
freaked
didn't
out.
know. But this is a thing. This was like a documented case. There was this family. Their son died because he was having horrible nightmares. And then it started happening to other people.
Was he still sleeping when he died?
They assume. They just...
So
well...
It probably...
Or like
if he was having a night terror...
Yeah.
It could have induced cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
And then there was... that was a weird thing. That's where the story came from. There was a kid who was having such horrible nightmares. He died. And by the way, there was a really good movie that nobody's ever seen before with Dennis Quaid, sorry, called Dreamscape. I love that film. I watched it when I was a kid, and he's a psychic that he gets pulled into this government program where he can go into people's dreams. And then he's in there with another guy who's the guy that goes, "The Warriors come out to play." Yay. I can't remember the guy's name. Do you ever see
Can't
Warriors?
help you. No.
The Warrior? All right. He was in a bunch of other stuff too. Twin Peaks. He was in.
Huh.
All right. So anyway, they find out that they're going to try and kill the president. They're going to go in the president's dream and kill him in his dream. Because if you die in your dream, you die in real life. That's what they say.
True. Well, sorry, I can't say true.
I've never died in a dream.
But I've definitely heard that urban legend, or whatever.
And now I wonder if it's based on this, because this kid died. So anyways.
Which came first?
So then they found out it was a thing that was going on with people, with the Hmongs that were born at a certain time in the 70s and 80s that this is going to. It was called Brugada syndrome. Brugada syndrome, and it was disruption of your heart's normal rhythm. Just destroys while you're sleeping, and it basically they just said it's kind of a sudden. It's like SIDS, and like adults, like sudden
adult
like death syndrome in your sleep. And there's actually now they can cure it, but that was a real thing. So these Hmong kids were having these horrible nightmares. And then days later, dying in their sleep.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it was like teenage kids. It wasn't just like little babies. It was like teenagers. So that's based on a true story. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I did not even realize that movie was in any way based in reality.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of films that have a basis of truth to it.
There are a lot of ghost type haunting films. Like Amityville. Well, that's not ghosts actually. That's just terrifying serial killer people.
Amityville is based on a true story.
Yes.
They found out later that was all false.
What?
Oh yeah, none of that. Apparently you really need to listen to the podcast. We've already talked about this. Amityville, none of that is real. Basically, it was the Warrens who kind of convinced them, hey, if you tell this story, you'll make a lot of money.
No, actually, when you said that, now I remember I did listen to that.
Oh, nice job.
But I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It kind of blew my mind. I got
the Warrens,
confused.
The same thing like The Conjuring, the Haunting in Connecticut. Mm-hmm. These are all stories that kind of the Warrens are related to, and these were all films that were based on real stories. They found out that weren't. But one of my favorite horror films of one time was based on two real stories that were combined together. Silence of the Lambs.
That's based on two stories combined together?
It's two stories. It's based on Buffalo Bill and Hannibal Lecter are based on two people in real life, and they
don't ruin that one for me either.
You haven't seen it?
Never seen that?
You forget that I haven't seen horror movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, we might just a little bit. We'll just say I'll just tell you this. It's based on and actually the one character that it's based on, Buffalo Bill's based on, is a guy who he's kind of based on the movie Psycho. Have you seen Psycho?
No.
Okay, so Psycho. Ed Gein, Gein.
I thought he was the clown dude.
Gacy?
Oh yeah, Gacy. Okay.
Yeah. So no. So this is a guy who basically was like he drank soup out of like the skulls of his victims. Like this guy, and that's where Buffalo Bill guy was based off of, and people know that one.
And what about Hannibal Lecter? So
Hannibal Lecter, and that's the interesting one that most people don't know. And he is really based on a real guy. And in Mexico, there was a guy named, and I'm going to say his name wrong, but it was Dr. Alfredo Ballytrevino. And he was a doctor. He was a real doctor who used to just kill his patients.
Was he a medical doctor or like
he was a
psychiatrist?
Physician. Yeah, he was. Yeah. He was upper class. He also, I think the biggest one is I think they got him. They caught the guy. But he killed his lover, his best friend / lover. And he was very close. And this is who the guy, he was the inspiration for Hannibal Lecter. But he dismembered like several hitchhikers and all like in the 50s and 60s. And a lot of the stuff they actually made reference to some of his killings. Made reference to in Silence of the Lambs, like as if he did that. So Buffalo Bill was based on one guy. Hannibal Lecter was based on another.
Interesting.
The movie, I liked Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, it is a great film.
And then I watched Manhunter, which is not the series that's on there now. Michael Mann had a film that came out in the 80s called Manhunter.
And that's the very first
Hannibal Lecter reference ever. And it's a great film. And this is the guy who catches Hannibal Lecter. And then he's going after another killer. But he has to befriend. He goes and befriends Hannibal Lecter, who's played by a different guy at this point. Mm-hmm. And it's I can't think of the guy's name who plays Manhunter, but he was the guy that was on CSI. He was the main guy from Vegas. Now I have to look it up.
I'm going to look it up.
So, but it's a really, really good film.
So essentially, Manhunter is an unrelated prequel.
It's a prequel to Silence of the Lambs, and it came out before Silence of the Lambs.
Oh. So
this came out, and people didn't know, because Hannibal Lecter plays a small part in it. But then they redid it, they made the movie again, it was called Red Dragon, and it was with Ed Norton.
Brian Cox.
No, Brian Cox plays Hannibal Lecter, right?
Oh yeah, who do you...
Brian Cox, yeah, but the guy who plays...
Dennis Farina.
No.
There's a lot of people that are familiar.
The main guy.
William Peterson, there we go.
And he was from CSI. Okay, so he plays the guy who catches Hannibal Lecter. But then they made the movie Red Dragon, and it makes reference to when... So Ed Norton plays that same character, and he catches Hannibal Lecter. He's the guy that catches Hannibal Lecter. But he was friends with Hannibal Lecter before. I
feel like I need one of those walls with like names and photos and string connecting the thing to the thing to make sense of this whole story.
Because we live in a film reality now where they just make remakes of everything.
Or franchise.
Or they'll do a prequel. There's so many prequel stuff coming out right now.
Yeah, well, because it's all a franchise. Like, oh, this movie was successful, so we're going to make a prequel and then a sequel and a sequel. What's after?
And then a spin-off.
And then, then a spin-off.
So now they're coming out with a Breaking Bad film.
Yeah, I heard that.
And it's going to be...
Shout out to Boise.
Yeah. And it's going to be based on Jesse's whatever's going on after he left. But I loved Breaking Bad. Mm-hmm. I think it was probably one of the best series ever on television. Flawless, pretty flawless. And it ended flawlessly, too, because there's so many times that you watch something and then you watch the end and you go, I'm so mad that ending sucked. This was a great ending. But then they did Better Call Saul. Mm-hmm. And I'm a huge Bob Odenkirk fan. Ever going back to like the stuff he did, even like Mr. Show and all that stuff, I've always been a huge fan. And I watch the show. Have you watch it, Better Call Saul?
No, I haven't yet.
Did you watch Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
So it's supposed to go back, but Here's the problem that I have, and I know I need to get past it. He looks so much older, and it's for him to say. I mean, think about it. This is like going on. So he's a decade from when this whole thing starts. He's older, but then he's supposed to be himself 5-6 years prior to even Breaking Bad starting, and that's one of the things that, like, I remember they tried to make in Red Dragon. They tried to make Anthony Hopkins look really young, and it got distracting.
Yeah, that can be difficult.
Yeah,
that's the trap with prequels, especially.
They do it great in like the adventure films when they show like in Ant-Man when they showed Michael Douglas.
I don't know. I haven't seen Ant-Man.
Yeah, they show him, make him look really young. They did a great job.
So, changing the subject a little bit.
Yeah.
Is a movie like Zodiac with Jake Gyllenhaal and sorry guys, I can't think of your other names, but good actors. Mm-hmm. Is that a horror film?
That's a suspenseful thriller, I think.
But not a horror film, right?
Well,
because its intention isn't to scare you, its intention is to tell the story. This is what I'm curious about. Where that line is. I'm still
I don't know.
Like processing.
And that is based on it. I mean, you could say, yeah, that's a hard one. There's some scary spots in there that make you scared to what's going on. But the funny thing is, like, you're telling a real story. So one of the things I looked up, I pulled up this thing in Esquire's top 10 films that were based on true stories. And the very first one being The Exorcist. And The Exorcist is based on a true story. Mm-hmm. And except there was a boy, and he was... apparently the place, like, people have recorded sounds of
like EVP?
Screaming and yelling and demons telling you to F off in that room where at the church or the nunnery where the little boy was at. They say that that's a really haunted, freaky room, and like dead birds just fly in there and die, which is kind of cool. But The Exorcist, based on a real story. Mm-hmm. And then they go, number 2 is The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which is again based on, there was a girl named Annalisa Michael. She was a German woman, but the thing was, like, everyone's like, well, she was pretty mentally ill.
Yeah, it's interesting that the first 2 are about possession, mm-hmm. in a way, or demons.
Yeah, and then you've got Nightmare on Elm Street, which I told you about, which mm-hmm. is based on, that's a scary, that one, when I first read that years ago, that it was based on a real story, I didn't know about the cure. All I knew is that there was this little boy who was so scared. And then I remember, like, then having like 5 night scary dreams in a row.
Yeah, and being afraid to go to sleep.
Yeah, except I was an adult when I read that. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which we all do know that it was, and that was again goes back to Ed Gein. That was his whole thing. Like, so many people have written so many stories about him being he just killed everyone. Just killed. He just didn't matter who you were. He just killed, and then he would just eat you and then drink soup out of your skull.
That's gross.
I have a huge head, so I'd be like one of those really nice salad bowls. It would be...
You need, like, tongs to get the salad out. Like, it's that big.
So another one is, did you guys ever watch Open Water?
Not kidding you. Richard and I just watched that the night before last. He'd never seen it. And I had seen it before, but long ago when it first came out. And we were looking through films, and that one popped up. And I said, oh my gosh, you haven't seen this. We have to watch it. And that one is interesting because nobody actually knows... Right? Basically, once they
just found the life jacket.
Yeah, well, okay, so for anyone who hasn't seen it, I'm not really going to spoil it, but these two
open water.
Divers go out on a scuba dive on a, touristy boat, and they get left in the ocean because the touristy boat thinks that they're there, but they're not. So they're stuck in the ocean, and all we know is nobody ever found them.
They found their life vests. Yeah, that was it.
But... we don't know exactly what happened in that time, but
this
movie
aliens.
tells the story, or some imagined version of what their experience was like and what exactly happened. So it's super interesting.
I always laugh because when I first saw that movie, and there's a bunch of people on the boat, and one of the guys is one of the actors in Super Troopers, and it seemed like a weird thing. He's not funny in it; he's just in it. It's one of the Super Trooper guys.
I haven't seen Super Troopers.
Oh. All right, well, anyway, it's one of the guys in there. And I go,
sorry.
oh, is this a comedy? One of the guys from Super Troopers is in this. and then he's no longer in it anymore. Like he's just the beginning, and then of course you find at this point that it's just.
Well, sometimes people just need a paycheck.
True.
Yeah, that's true. But
that movie took 2 years to film.
They used live sharks also.
Yeah, they did.
Why did it take 2 years?
Because they were just doing like weekends and holidays. It was basically like, we have to still work to make a living, so we're doing this because
like
we have a passion.
Project?
Yeah, it was like a passion project. And the budget was like $130,000 or something, and they sold it for $2.5 million. Anyway, I was just reading the IMDb trivia.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
That's crazy that I just watched it.
I like that. And then they say their number 6, top 6 is Amityville Horror, which still today I think everybody needs to understand. Like that's been like even everybody involved in that later on said, yeah, nothing happened. Of course, it was family members after like people started dying off, and then the other family they're like, yeah, this is all fake. But they still pretend. And then that goes for number 7, which is The Conjuring. The Conjuring, which later on they said. Yeah.
What is the story of The Conjuring?
The Conjuring was a family that bought this house, like in somewhere. I don't remember.
New England, probably.
Yeah, somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
And apparently that there was, and they found a basement in it. And this is a little bit like The Haunting in Connecticut, where these people bought this house. Later on, found out that it was a funeral home. Mm-hmm. They didn't know that. They found this. One of the kids was sleeping in the basement, and he broke down one of the walls and found out there was a blocked off funeral parlor, like they were doing the embalming. This family said that this ghost just started beating them all up at night. And the Warrens came in and they go, I'll save you for a lot of notoriety and some money. And that's just what happened. So this is the same thing with The Conjuring. The movie's, it's a scary movie. In fact, it was really funny because they said this is going to change the way horror movies are made. I read an article about that before I saw it. But I think it was pretty much just like everything else that we've seen that's come out in the last decade based on that. Number 8 is Silence of the Lambs, which again, we were telling you that was based on 2 different ones. And this one actually makes me mad. Number 9. They're trying to let you know, like, their whole article is, these are scary movies based on real, you might not know were based on real stories. Dahmer.
What?
That's number 9.
Hey, everybody, in case you didn't know, Jeffrey Dahmer did exist.
Like, what?
Is that
There are probably people that don't know that, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
well, especially because are they talking about the Dahmer that
Jeffrey Dahmer
is pretty recent?
Yeah, it must have come out. Oh, it came out in 2002. So.
Oh, okay.
Well,
still, I was just thinking,
they're like the. I was
like
watching a series like My Friend Dahmer.
Yeah, you're right.
Like
I was just thinking. I wonder if it's because that happened long enough ago that people, millennials, and people in this generation aren't as familiar with it because it's kind of died down. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, people still know who. Ted Bundy's getting so much notoriety right now. And by the way,
but it's back.
I liked the one that what's his face, High School Musical guy was in.
Zac Efron.
That's the one.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was he did a really good job.
Good job, Mr. Efron.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're listening, give us a call.
It's really funny because like those High School Musical movies I never saw them. High School Musical, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
I remember they filmed one in St. George, Utah. They filmed like the 3rd one or whatever, and I know people that were there. They were so excited. They're like, "Oh, yay, they're filming it here." But the only thing I thought was cool is they filmed the other one in Utah at this one high school that they shoot a lot of stuff at, and it's the same high school they shot one of my favorite films ever, which was 3 O'clock High. And if you've ever seen 3 O'clock High, it's so great. All right, so going back to number 10. The Shining, which of course we talk about now. Yeah. The Shining is somewhat based on people say it's based on a true story.
Well, yeah,
but it's
isn't
not.
The hotel
the Stanley Hotel?
Yeah, it's like Ghost Hunters has been there, and it's a place that people say is reportedly still haunted, right?
Stephen King had a dream there that he was like running around the corridors of the hotel. He had a scary dream of that, and he woke up. Being Stephen King, and he writes 400 books a year, he writes a book about it based on that.
So it's not haunted?
Well,
or isn't it? I thought it was based on a...
The hook right now, on my door where my coats are hanging.
Yeah.
That hook was in the Stanley Hotel. Somebody had stolen the hook out of the Stanley Hotel and gave it to me for a gift for a birthday.
Does the hook ever like do weird things or like
sometimes
make noise or move around?
Sometimes I hang coats on it.
Do they ever fall off?
No, actually, I have a bunch of coats on it right now.
Seems pretty sturdy.
It is. I have a lot of stuff on it. Although I did put my computer.
Reliable.
I did put my computer bag on it one time, and it came right off the wall.
See,
it hates computer. I hate.
It doesn't like
computer,
technology. It wants
computer
a typewriter.
bags. Yeah, and luckily I stopped it with my foot, so my computer was fine. But so that's the other one. The Stanley Hotel. He had a dream about ghosts.
Huh.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's just, and that was it. Those are the. Those are the films that were. There's a lot more they'll say were based off of, like if
real story.
There's you could go all day long and say that. Like here's another one. Based on. So hold on. I'm going to tell you real quick. Let me click on the no thanks because I don't want to subscribe. Clearly, The Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We knew that. Nightmare on Elm Street. We knew that. Child's Play. So Child's Play was based on a nurse who allegedly put a voodoo curse.
Chucky?
On author Robert Eugene Otto, and he transformed one of his childhood dolls into a nighttime menace.
Although that's variations of that. I remember hearing those ghost stories growing up where like the dolls would come alive. Normally it was always like a creepy China doll or girl baby doll for some reason, but in Child's Play it was like a really not attractive looking boy doll. So that's an interesting kind of departure.
Well, yeah, so that was just that they supposedly had put a curse. This girl says, I'm going to put a curse on your doll.
It's almost like a voodoo doll coming to life type thing.
Well, then of course, like you go to Annabelle. Annabelle's based on a real doll. But that's like the doll.
The doll looks like,
it's
like
a
one of those Raggedy Ann dolls. Like it just looks really sweet and innocent.
And it's really funny because a lot of the stuff that I'm looking at here, like the possession, the entity, here's one here, the right. These are all possession. Mm-hmm. These are all exorcism type stuff. Like I was possessed by a demon. I was possessed by demons. That's what a lot of these are. And there is one, is it not the entity? There's one called, it's got Barbara Hershey, where she was being sexually assaulted by a ghost. Did you ever see that one?
Wait, this sounds vaguely familiar. Hold on, I'm going to look up.
I wonder if it's in those. There's one called Eaten Alive in 1980 that's based on real people. I've never seen that one. Fire in the Sky. That's
oh yeah,
Fire in the Sky, and that's
alien abduction though.
Yeah, and that one though, I tried to watch it, and I'm like, I don't know. I really tried.
Sorry, this Barbara Hershey movie you're talking about, was it The Last Temptation of Christ?
No, let's go back Let's go back further.
Oh, further. Ooh, okay, hold on.
I'm sure it was Barbara Hershey.
That was in the 80s.
The Entity. The Entity is from 1982.
Oh,
so this was supposed. Yeah, The Entity. So I was right.
Oh yeah.
So The Entity is a. Basically, it was adapted from a book, but the book was still about. She was a woman. This girl was repeatedly sexually assaulted by an invisible entity, and they actually the thing is like she was observed for a long time, and supposedly they saw things happen. But here's the one thing that she's supposed to be sleeping naked. Now, first of all, if you're being sexually assaulted by a ghost, are you just going to lie there naked in bed? But she's lying there on their back, and you see ghost hands squeezing her boobs. What? That's the scene I always remember because I was a kid when this came out, and I remember being like, "Ghost, if you're a ghost, you could play with girls' boobs."
I should be a ghost.
That sounds pretty cool, man. I just play with girls' boobs all day.
Though I will say, my stepmother had this story. It didn't happen to her, but a friend of hers. You know, this is how it always goes: a friend of a friend, or whatever, who had this experience where a lot of things happened. Long story short, she was sexually assaulted or attempted to be by a ghost. So that's weird, but I guess not kind of out of the realm of what people have experienced or thought they did.
Well, I mean, there's people now claiming to have ghost babies. Like,
what?
There's people out there that marry ghosts. They're saying like, I got this, and it
I'm
can
gonna marry a ghost. Except I'm already married.
Women, can you? You're married to somebody, and they go, I'm pregnant. But they go, wait, we didn't have sex this month. Like, oh no, I got a ghost knocked me up. Oh, a ghost? I'll raise it like it's my own. People have sworn that they have half ghost babies because they got. Yeah, exactly. No one's ever heard of a roofie before. Apparently, they didn't know how that worked. I must have got raped by a ghost.
So wait, it's a real baby. But they're saying
father,
a ghost.
Yeah. Is
the baby daddy.
Yes.
There's
a lot of cases out there.
Amazing.
There's people. I mean, there was that one girl that, first of all, she claimed she married a ghost pirate, but now she's divorcing the ghost pirate. It's got to be expensive.
Like, how do you divorce? Because clearly they didn't have a legal marriage. There couldn't have been a marriage certificate or anything like that.
He didn't have a leg to stand on.
What?
Yeah! And with that, thanks for listening. Okay, no. Hold on.
Well, almost. I was just going to say, how do you divorce someone when you were never legally married? Divorce is just a legal procedure. Or I guess there's like divorce of the heart or divorce of the mind. I don't know.
I don't know. But like, come on. Anyway, but there's people out there. But could you imagine that? I mean, can you imagine like if you're this is my favorite one. This girl gets pregnant. She's married. And she gets pregnant. But it's clearly not his. And then she goes, hey, I'm having a baby. And he's like, what? Whose baby is it? And then she goes, God's.
Aren't we all God's children, though?
Yeah. And he's like, oh, God knocked you up? Oh, that's cool.
I'll raise it as my own. Wow.
Hey, we don't have much money, so we'll just have to have in this manger. Is that cool? All right. Well, with that, I don't know. I think we're done.
But we might be done.
Jesus Christ. Nice job, Bill.
But listen, all you listeners, you should comment with your favorite ghost story. Wait, can you comment on a podcast? I'm such a dumb.
Well, you can if you go to our Facebook page.
There you go. Plug.
Or you can go to our Instagram.
And what's the Facebook page?
That's just Eat, Drink, and Be Scary.
Okay, cool. And Instagram?
Ghostumentary.
What's that?
Ghostumentary. Well, it's a documentary, a ghost documentary. It's a very funny, very real ghost documentary available on Amazon Prime. Listen now. Every time somebody watches it, I make like 8 cents.
Nice.
So you have 16 cents?
I do. I'm surprised actually how many people
32 cents.
Watch that every day. It's really surprising.
Is it just you watching it over and over?
It's on loop.
Yeah. So every time you watch it,
and I watch it on fast forward. I watch it on fast forward, so it just goes really, really fast.
Is it available on Prime?
It's Amazon Prime, yes. But I also put it at if you don't have Amazon Prime, it's like 99 cents. I put it at the lowest thing, which is really funny because the very first time I put it up there and it was on Amazon Prime and you had to pay like $5 to watch it. Mm-hmm. Probably a fifth of the people watch it, but I made like so much money. Mm-hmm. No, I shouldn't say I made so much money. I made a lot more money that way.
Like $11?
No, I made like $1,800 the first month that it was up there, and it was
wow.
on Prime.
I'm gonna make a movie.
And I will. Let's direct it. Let's make.
Done.
You're an actress.
True. I was in a horror movie, by the way.
Wow, my God, what was it?
It was called Pizza Man versus the Dude. And it's kind of this like
terrifying.
Right? It's,
is this based on a real story?
I don't think so.
Oh.
You know, like a slasher film / zombie type incantation. And I played an ACLU attorney / stripper. That's all you need to know.
Wow. And where can we watch this?
I have no idea.
Who is it? Was it made in?
Yeah, it was here in Boise. I don't remember the name of the production company, but a couple local guys, who made some really cool stuff. And
what's it called again?
Now I'm
afraid.
Pizza Man versus the Dude.
Let's see if I can find it.
I think it's really big overseas.
It was in 2004.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh, wait a minute. Stand by.
No, I hope you can't rent it.
I could buy it. Oh, I love it's a pizza cutter, but it looks like I could buy it.
And it's
on
like
DVD.
blood /
Let's see. I could tell. Let's look at it right now. It came out in 2004.
Yeah, it's
William
Schmepper,
and
Andrew Ellis,
and let's see who's in this that I know. No one. I don't know any of these people except for there you are. There's Liberty right there. So there's not a lot of local actors, I don't think.
No, they were local.
Are they still around? I don't know any of these people.
I'd have to. I mean, I remember Robert was in it, and I remember the people.
Do you have a big part?
There's
2 reviews. You want me to read them? Here we go. First, this is 3 out of 5.
Bad.
Not the best movie. I bought it due to working at, and then it goes ...
What?
Not the best movie. I bought it due to working at the pizza place where part of it was filmed. Where was that at?
I wasn't in that scene.
Oh.
Sorry.
Then it probably sucked. That scene sucked.
No, I know it was a local place, though.
And then, this is, again, it's 3 out of 5. It just gets 3 out of 5 every time. This is somebody named Nita Joe, and it says the place used... the used price is too high. The movie is still available brand new from the director with a newly redesigned cover. Right here on Amazon for $11. It is a horror slasher / comedy independent film. Not really my cup of tea, but if you love B movies with blood / guts / nudity ...
True. Listen, I had to do this. I had to do this scene.
Is there nudity in there with you?
I had to do this scene where I was wearing stripper heels, so they're like super tall and they have a really thick sole.
Platform?
Yeah, like a platform heel, a stiletto platform heel. And there had to be the scene where I think I was just walking down a hallway and I had to slip and fall on a pool of blood. And this is a low budget film, so I had one time to do this, because once I slip and fall, my costume is, full of blood. And then what are we going to do? So I just had to go for it. And somehow I managed to do it and not break my neck. Ta-da! That's the story of the film.
Well,
Don't
sadly...
buy it. Okay, bye.
There's no trailer.
No.
And I wish there was, but I'm begging you to get us a copy of this film.
Because he doesn't want to pay for it.
I'll see.
Well, I could. Actually, you know what?
I can do.
That's a lie. I could just buy it right now on Amazon.
How much is it?
Hold on. It's $11. Yeah, I could just buy it right now. Add to cart. Look at that. It's Prime. Good news, everybody. You can't watch the movie, but you can buy it
for free shipping if you're Prime eligible.
I am, which I am. And look at that.
Anyway, I don't know why I even brought it up.
Add to cart. Huh. Would you look at that? I'm going to go ahead and buy this.
We actually did have an idea for something we were going to write.
Oh, yeah, true. Tanya and I.
We were going to write a kind of...
It's like a single location horror film based on a story that my friend told me that happened to her.
Someone's going to steal it if you talk about it on here, so be okay with that.
I don't know if that's okay, because it's not my story to tell.
Well, no one will steal it. I'm just making that up.
Oh, okay, great. So
as we talk about movies that are based on real life stories. So anyways,
they lived kind of in a sort of remote place. Their house wasn't really close to anything at all. And one day their dad was taking them to school. It was my friend and her brother or sister. And there was some strange person outside their house, and their mom was a stay-at-home mom, I believe. And the dad stopped and said, "Hey, this is private property, so if you could please leave, that would be great." And the guy said, "I know who you are. I know your 2 daughters' names, and I know that your wife is home every day alone." Basically, something essentially along those lines. Super creepy. Like, how does this guy know this, right? And he said, like, "I'm going to come back and get your family or get your wife." And then I can't remember how long later, I think it was just a matter of days or a couple of weeks, there was some sort of murder committed with a hatchet that they believe was this crazy dude. So Tanya and I had this idea to, do this film where it starts out kind of with that story, And then the whole rest of the film is the mother in the house with maybe, potentially, the guy trying to get in.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's better than my idea. It's called selfie. And every time somebody takes a picture or a selfie, they see the ghost in it, but it gets closer and closer every time they take a selfie. And then, but they can't stop. They have to stop posting selfies. Because every time they do it, it's closer and closer.
This feels like a moral...
No, well, and then but the thing is, you're rooting for the ghost because it's people that keep posting selfies.
It's almost like a modern day Twilight Zone.
Yeah. So it's just like, you're like, oh my God, every time somebody posts a selfie, that person's closer.
But people are like so addicted to taking selfies, they can't stop.
They can't stop. But they keep doing it. And these people these really complete, just kind of sociopaths, that just love themselves so much, or narcissists that just can't stop taking pictures. They eventually get killed.
I feel like there's...
And then who they find out what the murderer was? It was me the whole time. I was the one.
Is this like a parable?
I don't know. Like what? What do you mean? In what aspect?
Don't be so
vain.
Well, I guess you could say that. No, it's just
vain.
those people just
You probably think this podcast is about you.
Don't
You're
you?
So
don't
vain.
you?
Anyway, maybe that's the end.
Took a picture of your lunch today, and then you at the gym. Yeah, I get it. I like it. We should write that song. What was it? What was the song that you? All the young dudes asking for nudes.
This is a whole different podcast we've turned into.
Being so crude. Yeah, so anyway. All right, so I think we're done.
Yeah.
Yes. I have a lot of movies I need to watch now.
Yeah.
Yes. And we spoiled a couple movies, but you should still watch them because you should still watch them. And everybody should watch Lady in White and tell me if it's stupid or scary.
Yeah.
And then we'll call people and be like, what was your thought?
By the way, there was I'm going to end it with this real quick. There was a movie that I watched when I was a kid. I don't remember what it was. I just saw part of it. I think I was just like flipping through the channels on my old TV. Like, let me see what's on channel 21.
Knob, literally.
No, then on 21. Let me see what's on 27. Like that. Okay. So anyway, there was a movie where there was this little girl and she goes into her mom's bedroom and her mom was frozen, like rocks, turned to stone, like she's green. And then she grabs her mom's hand, which is green, and goes and buries it. Okay. I can't find that. I Googled every aspect of that. Little girl grabs mom's hand, stone green hand, whatever.
Oh, challenge accepted.
If anybody can find this movie, I don't know what it was about or anything. I just remember, I'll never forget that
Roughly
scene.
what year do you think this is?
Probably 60s or 70s is when it was made.
Okay.
I would have seen it in the 70s.
Okay.
Or early 80s.
I'm going to find it.
I'm going to say I saw it in the late 70s.
How much do I get if I find it? What do I get? Do I win?
You win.
You get a free copy of
Pizza
the
Man
Pizza
versus
Man
the Dude.
versus the Dude. Available now on Amazon Prime for $11, which I'm going to buy. We're going to buy it, and we're going to watch this film. Beyond that, I think we should watch it together. We should just have and then we'll do a review of it.
A live
How big of a scene do you have? Are you pretty kind of big in it?
I mean, I'm in a couple scenes. I die early.
Oh, you just spoiled the movie. Why did you spoil it?
I mean, I live forever.
I'm the murderer.
Oh, no! I'm the dude or the pizza man.
What is the premise? Just real quick. What's the premise?
I can't tell you.
All right, whatever. Okay,
you
so
gotta buy it.
Be sure to subscribe. Hey, reach out, subscribe. Just do something. I don't know. Tell us what you... Watch the movie and tell us what you think. Anything else? You guys have anything else you want to say?
Go team.
Yeah, and we are going to...
Next up.
Leeds Devil will be coming in probably the next podcast. That's what we're going to talk about. I still want to talk about why people are afraid of ghosts.
Yeah.
In fact, with that, if you guys have information, if you guys want to bring it up about the Leeds ghost, or if you have any information about why you're afraid of ghosts, or Leeds Devil, not Leeds Devil, mm-hmm. Leeds Devil, or why you're afraid of ghosts,
or the Jersey Devil, Jersey Devil, same.
Isn't it the same thing?
Mm-hmm,
it's the same, yeah. So I should just say, yeah. And sorry, Ryan. Man, he almost peed his pants.
We ruined it
when I told him we were going to do this episode without.
We're excited. Coming up soon.
Almost peed everywhere. And with that, if there's nothing else, then just say goodnight.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.